This is booked for drama, where stories burn, hearts break, the tea is always hot and never a part 2. Today we're diving into brothers imprisoned me but they went crazy after I died. Let's go. Chapter 1. My stepsister framed me for causing her allergic reaction, so my 3 brothers locked me in a cramped, airless cellar and chained the door shut. I weakly pounded on the cellar door, begging my brothers to let me out. James, my oldest brother and a business tycoon, coldly scolded me before leaving. It's bad enough that you usually bully Lily, but deliberately feeding her seafood when you know she's allergic? Were you trying to kill her? Stay in there and think about what you've done. William, my second brother and a rising music star, and Henry, my third brother and a genius painter, both sneered. Someone as vicious as you is still making excuses and playing the victim? You can just stay in there and suffer the consequences. With that, they carried my trembling stepsister Lily in their arms and rushed her to the hospital. As the oxygen slowly ran out, each breath became more labored until I finally died in that cellar. 3 days later, when my brothers returned home from the hospital with Lily, they finally remembered me. But by then, I had already suffocated to death in that cramped cellar. I died from lack of oxygen in that cellar. When I regained consciousness, I found my spirit hovering next to my 3 brothers. They had just returned to their mansion. James and William were gently helping Lily, speaking to her kindly. Thank goodness we got you to the hospital in time. You're recovering so quickly. Henry fussed over her with obvious concern. The doctor said your body is still weak and needs proper nourishment. He then eagerly served Lily a large piece of meat. A servant hesitantly spoke up. Young masters, Miss Rachel hasn't made a sound in the cellar for 3 days now. James snorted and cut her off. Today is a happy day, Lily's coming home from the hospital. Why bring up that troublemaker? The servant tried to continue, but William and Henry's cold glares silenced her. That wretched girl must have known about the seafood allergy and deliberately made an entire seafood dinner, William fumed. And here I thought she was finally starting to accept Lily. Turns out it was all premeditated. Henry added angrily. Lily put on a frightened expression and timidly said, Big sister is being punished because of me. She's been alone in that cellar for so many days. What if she's angry when she comes out? James's expression hardened. Don't worry, Lily. We've been too lenient with her before. She's never faced real consequences. After this lesson, she won't dare bully you again. As he spoke, he instinctively pulled out his phone and refreshed our chat history. But our last messages were still from 3 days ago. In those 3 days, I hadn't sent a single message or made a single call. James's eyes flashed with anger. That ungrateful brat. It's been days and she hasn't even sent one message asking how Lily is doing. At that moment, Lily deliberately grasped James's hand and said in a tearful voice, I just wanted my big sister to spend time with me. I never meant to steal anything from her. James quickly set down his phone and stroked Lily's head affectionately. Lily, you're so kind. Not like her, she's nothing but an ungrateful wretch. William's eyes filled with cold disdain as he thought of me. That's right, she dares to harm family just to get attention? She's truly despicable. Henry nodded in vehement agreement and sneered, unless she's learned her lesson and is willing to kneel and apologize to Lily, I'll throw her out of this house myself. I stood nearby, listening to my brother's words, and could only laugh bitterly at the absurdity. But my spirit's actions went completely unnoticed by the living. Ever since our parents died when I was young, my 3 brothers had devoted all their attention to me. One day I said I wanted a playmate my own age, so my brothers went to an orphanage and adopted Lily as my stepsister. I opened my heart to Lily's arrival, but in front of my brothers she repeatedly framed me, causing them to grow more and more distant from me with each passing day. Including this time, my 3 brothers locked me in that tiny cellar without a second thought. I struggled desperately, but could only feel the air in the cramped cellar growing thinner and thinner. Pounding on the cellar door, I begged my brothers over and over to let me out. But my brothers only looked at me coldly, angrily saying, What are you yelling about? This is all your own fault. If it weren't for you, why would Lily be suffering from such a bad allergic reaction? We've clearly been too nice to you, that's why you keep bullying and tormenting Lily. Just stay in there and think about what you've done. With that, William personally wrapped chains around the door, while Henry piled heavy objects in front of it, eliminating any chance I had of saving myself. Now, watching Lily fake smile at my brothers, I let out another bitter, mocking laugh. Brothers, the sister who loved you most in this world has been killed by your own hands. Lily tugged on James's sleeve and said in a pitiful voice, Big brother, don't be angry anymore. It's my fault for being so weak and having food allergies. I'm sure big sister didn't mean it. Please don't blame her. James's expression instantly darkened. He said coldly, Chapter 2. That wretched girl, we've clearly spoiled her too much, letting her develop such an arrogant and domineering personality. William's eyes flashed with surging anger. The older she gets, the more narrow-minded she becomes. If it weren't for her, how could Lily have ended up in this state? At this point, Lily deliberately exposed her limbs, which still showed faint traces of the allergic reaction, to the 3 brothers. There were still a few red marks visible. Henry gently stroked the skin that still bore slight redness. Does it still hurt, Lily? Lily lowered her head, her voice trembling as if she was about to cry. It doesn't hurt, really, it doesn't. The anger in William's heart was thoroughly ignited. He shouted furiously, If we'd gotten to the hospital any later, it could have been life-threatening for Lily. And after all these days, she hasn't even sent a single. James spoke with even greater fury. Go bring that wretched girl here to apologize. I don't believe she can keep refusing to say sorry. William and Henry joined in angrily. It's all because she's relied on our support. Now that she's done something wrong, she must face proper punishment. They turned to the servants and thundered, "What are you all standing around for? Hurry up and bring that ungrateful brat here. And bring our disciplinary cane too." If it weren't for Rachel deliberately putting seafood in the meal, how could Lily have suffered in the hospital for 3 days? It's time to set the rules straight in this household. The servants didn't dare disobey and hurried off in my direction. I let out a despairing, bitter laugh. My brothers hadn't even investigated the truth before arbitrarily deciding I was guilty. 3 days ago, Lily said she was hungry, so I wanted to do something nice and cooked for her. She even gave me a small packet of seasoning, saying she wanted to eat that. I tasted it and it seemed like normal seasoning. Who could have known it contained her allergen? James is supposed to be a business genius, yet he couldn't even see through such an obvious ploy for attention? If that's not favoritism, what? In my brothers' hearts, I would never be as important as stepsister Lily. I felt increasingly desolate, but it didn't matter anymore. I had already died in that cellar. Now my brothers could give all their love and favor to Lily. "Young master, we've been calling Miss Rachel for a long time, but there's been no response at all. We can't hear any breathing from inside." James frowned deeply, stood up abruptly, his face cold with anger. What new game is that wretched girl playing now? Does she think it's beneath her dignity to apologize to Lily? Does she still not understand that she nearly killed you this time? Lily tugged on James's sleeve again and said sadly, "Big brother, it's okay. I'm just an orphan. I don't deserve to have big sister apologize to me." The anger in James's heart was thoroughly provoked. Using such a lowly tactic for attention, does she really think I can't see through it? She must think she's so clever, thinking if she plays mute she can get away with it. It seems the punishment I gave her was too light. Let's go. Drag her out here. I'd like to see how she tries to hide now. She must kneel and apologize to Lily. I involuntarily followed my 3 brothers' footsteps, my heart growing heavier with sorrow. Fueled by their rage, my 3 brothers soon arrived at the cellar door. "Rachel Harper, do you think hiding in there silently will let you escape punishment?" But there was no sound from inside the cellar. William's face grew even darker. "Rachel Harper, what are you still pretending to be? Come out right now and kneel to apologize to Lily. Don't think that hiding in there, turning off your phone, and not contacting us will let you avoid the consequences of deliberately hurting Lily." Henry's eyes were blazing with anger as he shouted, "Rachel Harper, you've really gotten bold. You just can't stand to see us being nice to Lily, so you're deliberately staying silent to provoke us. Do you really think hiding in the cellar and refusing to speak will make us give in first?" There was still no sound from inside the cellar. James turned to look at the trembling servants and coldly commanded, "Why are you all shaking? Tell me the truth. Did that wretched girl bribe you? Did you secretly let her out?" William snorted. Given her despicable nature, she probably couldn't stand being in the cellar after we left and had these servants open the door to let her out. Henry's eyes were filled with disappointment. "You nearly killed Lily, but you can't even face the consequences of your actions. Is this really the sister I know? Do you really think we only have you as a sister?" At this point, a servant finally spoke up trembling. "Young master, we wouldn't dare let her out without your orders. Miss Rachel has truly been in the cellar for 3 whole days now." Henry looked at the still silent cellar, a flicker of unease passing through his eyes. He walked up and pulled hard on the cellar door several times, but couldn't open it. "Rachel Harper, enough is enough. I've unlocked all the locks. Are you still stubbornly holding the door shut from inside?" I looked at the twisted cellar door and could only laugh bitterly. At the time, desperate to save myself from suffocation, I had repeatedly slammed against the door, just wanting to survive. But the cellar door was exceptionally sturdy. I couldn't even create the slightest gap, and could only suffocate to death in that cellar. "Brothers, when you see my corpse, will you be able to give me even a tiny bit of love and bury me next to Mom and Dad?" James grew increasingly agitated. He started kicking the door forcefully. The twisted cellar door opened a larger crack, and a foul stench wafted out. A servant trembled as she spoke. "It smells like a decomposing body." The other 2 brothers also approached, full of rage. "What decomposing body? She clearly ran away long ago and just threw a dead rat in there to trick us. Rachel Harper, do you really think we're that easy to fool?" The 3 brothers grew even more impatient and all started kicking the door together. The entire cellar entrance shook again. With a loud bang, the door was kicked wide open. Along with an even stronger putrid smell, the small dark cellar was exposed to everyone's view. Tuomo svi na vp story. Light from outside poured in, dispelling the darkness inside. I moved closer to look inside my corpse. Because the cellar was sealed and at a suitable temperature, my body after 3 days of death looked like it had been there for about 10 days. The corpse was already rotting, with maggots crawling all over it. The face was a dark purplish black from suffocation. After so many days of decay, it was no longer recognizable as me. I suddenly panicked. Seeing such an ugly corpse, I didn't want my 3 brothers to see it too. I hurriedly tried to block their view. At least let me have a shred of dignity in death. But of course, everything I did was in vain. James's face instantly turned pale. In the stunned silence, he involuntarily took a small step back, his lips trembling as he spoke. Chapter 3. What is that thing? The intense stench and horrifying sight made James back away in disgust. "Get that away from me, it's revolting." A servant, face full of terror, cried out, "Young master, that's Miss Rachel. That's the young Miss's body." James's tone turned icy. "How could a body decompose like this after just 3 days? It's impossible. Don't think you can fool me by piling up a bunch of dead rats. You must have snuck out while we weren't paying attention. No wonder you didn't respond no matter what we called, so that's what happened." James's angry words silenced the servants who wanted to speak up. William and Henry quickly pulled Lily away. Lily, don't go over there. It's all filthy. Seeing my brother's reactions, the tiny spark of hope that had risen in my heart was thoroughly crushed. My corpse was right in front of my brothers, yet they completely ignored it. If they had just looked carefully for a moment, they would have recognized that the body was mine. At this point, James waved his hand in disgust and ordered the servants, "Get rid of this foul-smelling thing immediately. Who knows what kind of disease it might spread." Disgusting. As the servants nodded in horror, James led Lily away. The other two brothers cast one last revolted glance at the cellar entrance before leaving as well. My spirit involuntarily followed my brother's footsteps. Though I was already dead, I felt like I still couldn't breathe from the pain. Especially when my corpse appeared, they didn't even give it a second glance before casually telling the servants to dispose of my body. Brothers, how much do you truly dislike me? I don't even qualify to be buried next to our parents' graves. The three brothers quickly returned to the living room with Lily. Before Lily could put on another fake act, James immediately made a phone call. "Freeze all of Rachel Harper's bank cards right now. Pull up every single transaction she's made recently. And go check all of our parents' old properties. I want to know exactly where she went and what she spent money on in these 3 days." After issuing his cold orders, James abruptly hung up. Once the records were pulled, he would know precisely where I had gone over the past 3 days. Then he would teach me a harsh lesson. I let out a derisive laugh. James seemed to have forgotten. Previously, one of his company's strategic decisions had nearly led to bankruptcy, with many shareholders withdrawing their investments. When James was at a dead end, I had poured all my money into the company to keep it afloat. This included all the money my brothers had given me, as well as the property our parents had left me. Now, apart from my identity, where would I have any extra money? William scanned the empty living room and snorted. Rachel's really gone too far. While we were wholeheartedly taking care of Lily, instead of suffering together in the cellar, she was out having fun. I'll ask around at the recording studios. She better not be hiding there, relying on my reputation. Henry's face darkened as he said in a low voice, "I have quite a few art studios too. She might be hiding in one of those." James snorted, "Well, let's see where she can run to now. We have to find her and make her apologize to Lily." With that, William and Henry left in front of Lily. My spirit remained by James's side, perhaps because he was closest to my body. Lily watched William and Henry leave, a flash of hatred for me passing through her eyes. She threw herself into James's arms. "Maybe my big sister still doesn't think I'm worthy of being your sister. Should I leave instead? I can come back when I'm worthy of being your sister. Then big sister probably won't target me anymore, right?" As Lily spoke, her tears fell onto James's hand. James gently wiped away Lily's tears, saying tenderly, "Don't worry, Lily. When we find her, we'll make her kneel and apologize to you first. From now on, as long as we're here, she'll never be able to target you again." Lily buried her face in James's chest, a sly look flashing in her eyes. I watched Lily continue her act and angrily tried to kick Bar Blue. I watched Lily continue her act and angrily tried to kick her, but of course I couldn't affect the physical world. Just then, James's phone rang. A slight smile tugged at his lips. It seemed they had found traces of me. His tensed shoulders relaxed. "Boss, there's been no information or financial activity related to Miss Rachel in the past 3 days. James's body stiffened. He froze for a moment, a sense of unease suddenly rising in his heart. He quickly pressed for more information. "That's impossible. How could she not have used any money at all in 3 days? Are you just being lazy and not looking properly? You're reporting back to me after such a short time? Keep searching thoroughly, understand?" James roared like an enraged lion, his angry shouts filling the living room. After a long silence, the voice on the phone slowly responded, "Boss, Miss Rachel doesn't have any private accounts. All her bank accounts have been empty for a long time, including all the properties under her name. They were all donated to the company when it was in crisis." Suddenly, James felt his heart skip a beat. With a clatter, the phone slipped from his hand and fell to the floor. When James came back to his senses, tears were already streaming down his usually stoic face. How could he have forgotten? My money had long ago been invested in the company during his most dangerous time, helping him get through that critical phase. He had been so angry earlier that he instinctively assumed I had run off with money. As he realized this, James suddenly felt a heart-wrenching pain. The sudden ache in his chest made his sense of unease grow even stronger. Lily put on another pitiful act and picked up the fallen phone, handing it back. James's fingers trembled as he carefully grasped the phone. He scrolled through our chat history. Our last messages were still from 3 days ago. This made James anxiously tap the phone case. "Big brother, don't worry." Lily tried to speak in a weak voice, but James shoved her away. He strode quickly back towards the cellar. James wanted to see for himself what was really in that cellar. "You ungrateful brat, playing games by disappearing? Do you really think we only have you as a sister?" I could only be forced to follow James's footsteps, but my gaze was cold. I no longer wanted anything to do with my brother. James's shoes clacked angrily against the floor with each step. The familiar rotten smell wafted out. Though James's face paled, he still approached the cellar entrance. But when he looked inside, he frowned deeply and coldly demanded, "Where's the thing that was in here?" Chapter 4. A servant who was still cleaning up answered trembling, "Young master, didn't you tell us to get rid of it? You said it was too filthy?" At this point, another servant fearfully held out a phone. "Young master, we also found Miss Rachel's phone in the cellar. We charged it a bit and it turns on now." I looked at that phone. Even though my heart had turned cold as ice, I still couldn't help shedding silent tears. That was the phone I had clung to in my final moments before death, desperately trying to send messages begging for help. But there was no signal in that cellar, so of course the messages were never sent to my brother's phone. I could only watch the red exclamation marks pile up by each unsent message as I died in despair in that cellar. James snatched my phone. The lock screen password was a combination of my 3 brothers' birthdays. That wretched girl, leaving without even taking her phone. How was she planning to get money? James's heart was clearly starting to guess at something. He spoke faster and faster. His eyes were rimmed with red as he quickly unlocked the phone and scrolled to our chat history. Big brother, I was wrong. I'll admit my mistake. Please let me out. I can't breathe in here. Big brother, please let me out. I'm suffocating. It's so hard to breathe. Big brother. Seeing these unsent messages, James felt his vision go dark. He collapsed to the ground. Lily hurried over, but as soon as she touched James, he violently shoved her away. Get away from me. James's hoarse shout made Lily fall back in fear. After blinking a few times, tears began streaming from her eyes. But her calculated act didn't elicit even a shred of sympathy from James this time. He stared at the trembling servants with bloodshot eyes and roared. The body? Where did you put the body that was in here? The servants all shrank back. Finally one servant steeled himself to answer. Young master, the third young master said it was too dirty and told us to burn it. We just finished burning it. When James heard this, he felt his vision blur. His legs went weak. Ring ring ring. Just then, the phone James was clutching tightly rang. I glanced at it. It was a call from William. As soon as James answered, William's tearful voice came through. Rachel, thank goodness you picked up. I'm so sorry, we misunderstood you. James felt his head spinning. William's crying voice continued. Rachel, little sister, why aren't you saying anything? Are you angry? It's all Big Brother's fault for not realizing sooner. Everything was that damned Lily framing you. That day Lily deliberately gave you the allergen. I was wrong to doubt you. Rachel, say something. Let Big Brother hear your voice. Can you forgive me? I stood to the side and let out a cold laugh. William was a rising music star. I had put in a lot of effort behind the scenes for him, composing quite a few hit songs. That very morning, Lily had given me that packet of allergen seasoning. I thought everything was finally going to get better, especially that day. I had written a song as a gift for William's 2-year debut anniversary. Who could have guessed that because of Lily's false accusations, I would be dragged into that cellar by my brothers and ultimately suffocate to death inside? Fortunately, I had been so excited that I told the studio members about the song in advance. So those studio members also knew about the seasoning packet Lily gave me. But if William had gone to the studio a little earlier, couldn't he have discovered the truth sooner? I shook my head coldly. Affection that comes too late is worth less than grass. At this point, James clutched his chest and staggered back several steps. He had misjudged Rachel. It was all Lily's own scheming. James's eyes dimmed as he said with a bitter smile, William, it's me. William's anxious and regretful voice came through the phone. James, give the phone to Rachel. Let me apologize to her properly first. James felt like his heart was being squeezed. He cried out in anguish, it's Rachel's phone. It was left behind in the cellar. After a long silence, William's voice suddenly trembled as he asked, Rachel, then where did Rachel go? James, wait for me. I'm coming home. Lily's face also grew increasingly unsightly, cold sweat dampening her temples. Big brother, please let me explain. But as soon as Lily got these few words out, James viciously kicked her, sending her flying. Then James furiously shouted, hold her down. A group of servants immediately pinned Lily to the ground. As James leaned against the wall for support, still clutching my phone tightly in his hand, it rang again. I glanced over. It was a call from Henry. Henry was a genius painter who loved all kinds of beautiful colors. 4 days ago, I had specially found an extremely rare cinnabar pigment for him, knowing he would love it. I never imagined I would die before Henry discovered this surprise. James answered the call. Henry's tone on the other end had softened a bit. All right, Rachel, stop being angry. You did do something wrong, but wherever you are, come back quickly. I'll protect you. As Henry kept rambling on, James coldly cut in. Henry, that body, did you order it to be burned? That was very likely our sister. The voice on the other end suddenly went silent. But a moment later, Henry's voice began to tremble. It can't be, that really was. No, it's impossible. Rachel couldn't have turned into that. How could she become that filthy thing just from being in the cellar for 3 days? It's absolutely impossible. I'm coming back. We'll do a DNA test. Hair should be enough to test. That definitely couldn't have been our sister. With that, he hung up. James collapsed to his knees, sobbing in anguish. Not long after, a servant steeled himself to bring out an urn. Young master, these should be the young Mrs. Ashes. James still clung to one last shred of hope. He coldly corrected the servant before him, enunciating each word. What do you mean that's my sister? Rachel Harper, our sister, has just gone missing. She's not dead. At this point, a servant stepped forward and slowly handed James a DNA report. Young master, as soon as the third young master said to burn it, we took the initiative to do a DNA comparison. The DNA test results in this report confirm it was the young miss. Young master, please accept our condolences. James felt like he had been struck by lightning. He stood frozen in place for over 10 minutes. Then his gaze suddenly fell on Lily, who was still being restrained by the servants. Bring me all of this girl's belongings. William just said this was all your false accusation against Rachel? Lily suddenly started struggling. Big brother, I'm innocent. I didn't cause my big sister's death. She panicked because her phone contained plenty of evidence left behind after framing me. James quickly obtained all of Lily's things. He rapidly went through them and unlocked Lily's phone. Chapter 5. In an instant, James's face turned completely dark. Then he viciously kicked Lily in the face. Not long after, William and Henry both returned. As soon as they arrived, they saw Lily pinned to the ground by servants, barely conscious. Nearby stood James, his eyes red from crying. James, what are you doing? How could you beat Lily like this? Henry immediately demanded. William lowered his eyes. When he looked at Lily, his gaze was already filled with icy fury. James threw a phone at William and Henry. They picked it up with confused expressions. But a moment later, both William and Henry's faces changed dramatically. This phone contained all the evidence of Lily's evil deeds. From the moment she entered the family, she had deliberately broken her own toys and made them think I had done it, causing them to rage at me. All the way up to 3 days ago, when she purposely gave me the allergen to continue framing me. Each video recorded scenes of me being scolded by my brothers, with Lily's gleeful laughter in the background. Henry was the first to viciously kick Lily in the face. With bloodshot eyes, he shouted hoarsely, "We misunderstood Rachel for so long, and it was all you're doing? Don't forget, you're only here because of Rachel." Chapter 6. Why did you do this? Why? Blood poured from Lily's mouth. Her gaze instantly turned vicious as she glared hatefully at the brothers. So what? Yes, I admit I framed her. I just wanted more of your love and attention. Was that so wrong? But in the end, weren't you the ones who killed her? I don't understand why you're taking your anger out on me. Suddenly, the brothers who had been filled with rage faltered. Lily glared viciously at James and snarled, "I just wanted to win your love. But what about you? You locked Rachel in that cellar and then instinctively forgot about her. Even if she had survived those 3 days, the psychological trauma probably would have driven her insane." James collapsed to the ground, covering his face as he broke down sobbing. Then Lily turned to look at William and Henry. "You're all accomplices to murder. Wait for the law to punish you." William and Henry also crouched down, crying in anguish. Seeing this, Lily's face showed a triumphant expression. But before she could gloat for long, James suddenly lunged forward and grabbed her by the throat. William smashed her head with a hammer. Henry even bit into her neck. Lily was beaten to death on the spot by the brothers. They then looked at the urn of ashes the servants had brought out. Unable to accept the reality, they all chose to commit suicide. As my brothers' spirits left their bodies, all the constraints binding me disappeared as well. At first they were terrified, but upon seeing me they excitedly tried to come beg for forgiveness. But a special force held them in place. I remembered when I was little, after our parents died and the company was on the verge of collapse. Countless executives coveted our family's assets. As my brother's weakness, I was constantly targeted by others. That time, I was kidnapped by a group of people. My brothers searched frantically to find me. They held me tightly in their arms, eyes bloodshot as they shouted, "Rachel, we'll never let anything hurt you again. You're the only memento our parents left us. You're our only sister." That day, my brothers hugged me all night long. Afterwards, I studied hard and tried to act mature, just so I wouldn't worry my brothers. In the end, that was nothing but a lie to comfort a child. I can't believe I actually thought it was true. How foolish. Now, seeing their anxious expressions, I turned away without mercy and began floating upwards. Brothers, I am no longer your sister. In the next life, no, may we never meet again for all eternity. The end. And that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, secondhand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.